It was never truly quiet in that house, though I thought it was. For years, I convinced myself silence was safety. That the hum of the refrigerator, the faint ticking of the wall clock, the distant hum of traffic, that was all I needed. My husband liked it that way too. Predictable. Comfortable. A life measured in routines, not surprises. But silence plays tricks on you when it lasts too long. It begins to sound like something else. A whisper. A warning. A heartbeat that isn't yours. And that's why, when Alex moved in, everything changed. He wasn't supposed to matter. Just a tenant. A lodger renting the guest room, young, polite, carrying nothing but a duffel bag and a nervous smile. He needed somewhere temporary while he looked for work in the city. My husband agreed before I could protest. But from the moment Alex crossed that threshold, I felt it. The shift in the air. He was 22. Old enough to stand on his own, but still carrying the restless energy of someone not yet sure where they belonged. He called me at first, until I laughed and told him not to. After that, it was just Monica. And maybe that was my first mistake, letting him close the distance so quickly with just a word. At first, he was quiet. Respectful. Kept to himself. But it wasn't long before I started noticing the little things. The way his laughter carried down the hall when he was on the phone. The low creak of the stairs when he came down late at night. The way his eyes met mine in the kitchen and lingered, not long enough to be called disrespectful, but long enough to make me wonder. I told myself I imagined it. And for a while, I believed that. The first time it happened, it was almost nothing. It was late. My husband was away on another business trip, leaving the house too large, too empty. I couldn't sleep, so I went downstairs to pour a glass of water. And there he was, Alex, sitting in the dark on the back porch, lit only by the orange glow of a street lamp. "You should be asleep," I said softly, sliding the door open. He turned his head slowly, his face caught in shadows. "Could say the same about you." And suddenly, the silence wasn't comfortable anymore. It was charged, heavy, thick enough to feel between us. I sat down anyway, knees almost touching his. The air smelled of damp grass, of night air heavy with secrets. For a moment, neither of us spoke. And in that silence, I felt something shift. Something dangerous. That was the night I realized this wasn't harmless anymore. After that, I tried to distance myself. Tried to remind myself of the lines I could not cross. But temptation doesn't fade when you ignore it. It grows. Every glance, every brush of his hand, every word spoken too softly, it all built up inside me, like water pressing against glass. Waiting for the crack. And it wasn't just inside the house anymore. One afternoon, while hanging laundry in the yard, I felt it, the unmistakable prickling of eyes on me. I turned, scanning the quiet row of houses. Nothing. Just curtains shifting in the neighbor's window. Just a shadow that vanished before I could be sure. I told myself I was being paranoid. But later that week, Mrs. Callahan, the widow 2 doors down, stopped me on the sidewalk. "New tenant?" she asked, voice casual, but her eyes sharp. "Yes," I answered quickly, too quickly. "Just temporary." She nodded, lips pressing together like she'd already decided something. From that day on, I knew if I wasn't careful, people would notice. And in our neighborhood, silence wasn't safety anymore. Silence was suspicion. One night, a storm rolled in. The kind that shakes the house with every clap of thunder. The lights flickered once, twice, then died. I lit a candle in the kitchen, the flame trembling in the draft. The shadows bent and stretched across the walls. And then I heard it, his door opening upstairs. Slow footsteps descending. When Alex stepped into the glow, he looked like something carved out of the dark. "You okay?" he asked. I nodded, though my pulse betrayed me. Just, not a fan of storms. He stepped closer, his shadow merging with mine on the wall. His voice dropped. You're not alone. The air between us was unbearable. One step closer, and there would be no turning back. I don't know who moved first. Maybe it was him. Maybe me. But suddenly he was near enough that I could feel the heat of his breath. The house groaned under the weight of the storm, but inside, it was only us. And then, I pulled back. My hand trembled as I set the candle down, as though even the flame might betray me. Good night, Alex, I whispered. He held my gaze for a long moment, something unreadable flickering in his eyes. Then he nodded, turned, and walked back upstairs. But the silence he left behind was louder than thunder. After that night, I couldn't escape it anymore, the sense of being watched. Footsteps behind me when I walked to the store, though no one was there when I turned. The sound of a door shutting quickly across the street when I pulled into the driveway. And inside the house, it was worse. Sometimes, when Alex wasn't home, I'd still hear the creak of the stairs. The faint shuffle in the hallway. Once, I swore I heard a whisper through the walls. I told myself I was imagining it. But deep down, I knew secrets have a way of drawing shadows. Then came the night my husband came home early. I didn't hear the garage until it was too late. I was in the kitchen, laughing softly at something Alex had said. Too close to him. Too comfortable. The door opened, and my husband stepped in. His eyes swept the room, lingering just a little too long on Alex, then on me. The silence that followed was suffocating. He didn't say anything. Not then. Just nodded curtly, set his briefcase down, and walked upstairs. But that night, I lay awake, staring at the ceiling, wondering if he knew. Wondering if the silence between us was about to break into something far louder, far worse. Weeks later, Alex told me he'd found a new apartment closer to the city. He'd be moving out at the end of the month. I forced a smile. That's wonderful. Really. But inside, something shattered. The night before he left, I found him on the porch again, just like that first time. The air was heavy, the neighborhood eerily quiet. Big day tomorrow, I said, my voice steadier than I felt. He nodded, but his eyes were on me, not the horizon. Thank you, Monica. For everything. You've been, more than you know. I wanted to say it then. All of it. To tell him he wasn't alone in this. That the silence had meant something to me too. But I swallowed the words, forced a smile, and whispered back, take care of yourself, Alex. And that was it. The next morning, he was gone. On the surface, nothing changed. My husband and I carried on, our lives as steady as they had been before. Neighbors stopped watching so closely. The house returned to its silence. But I had changed. Because in the quiet of my own heart, I carried the weight of what almost was. The memory of shadows merging on the wall. The echo of footsteps that may or may not have been real. And sometimes, late at night, when the silence presses too heavily against my ears, I swear I hear it again, a door creaking open, footsteps descending the stairs. Like he never left. Like the house remembers. And the silence. The silence never leaves. Kindly leave a comment, like, and subscribe for more exclusive contents.